We had a great time last week in Little Rock, and after spending an extra night in the area because of an unfortunate tire blowout, we were able to get new tires and hit the road on Monday morning. Our next destination? The very small town of Kirby, Arkansas. We stayed at Kirby Landing, which is a campground that sits on Lake Greeson and is managed by the Army Corps of Engineers. This campground has 3 loops, and many campsites have gorgeous views of the water. The lake was down about 10 feet while we were here, but it's still made for some great scenic views outside our camper door. This campground had water and electric hookups, as well as bathrooms, showers, a boat ramp and marina, and even a small motel. There was also a nature trail on site, and part of the Bear Creek cycle trail ran through the park as well. It was a very nice, quiet week on the lake, and we enjoyed relaxing at our campsite and taking in the view. Daisy State Park is a short 5-minute drive from the entrance to Kirby Landing. This state park is free and it sits on Lake Greeson as well. The park offers a campground as well as a few hiking and biking trails. We hiked the Daisy Creek Nature Trail, which was pretty and was well marked most of the time, but we did lose the yellow blazes a couple times. We really thought we were up for this easy hike, but honestly we were still exhausted from last week's hike up Pinnacle Mountain in Little Rock. We cut the hike a little short and drove back to our campground, checking out the sunset from one of the other campground loops. Another day we checked out the Swinging Bridge Nature Trail, which was just a short distance from our campsite. This trail lived up to its name with this little swinging bridge. The dogs were not the biggest fans of crossing it. Unfortunately, this trail was not that well marked, and we had a hard time following it. So we turned around and walked along the lake shore instead. We did see 2 armadillos rummaging around. It was pretty cool to see these little guys in the wild, as we don't have them in Wisconsin. On Saturday morning, we woke up and hit the road, driving a little under an hour to Hot Springs National Park. It was a nice easy drive, and we were early enough that we could enjoy driving up and down Bathhouse Row without all the crowds. We parked at the Exchange Street parking ramp, which offers free parking just a block away from Bathhouse Row. Hot Springs National Park is a free national park right in the middle of the city of Hot Springs, Arkansas. The water that pours out of these hot springs is believed to have several health benefits. The area was designated a national reserve in 1832 and became our nation's 18th national park in 1921. The park consists of Bathhouse Row, which is home to 9 historic bathhouses with beautiful architecture and interesting history, as well as the Grand Promenade that runs behind Bathhouse Row, the multiple hot springs, and the North and West Mountains, where you can drive the scenic route and check out some overlooks or even do some hiking. The National Park Visitor Center is housed in the old Fordyce bathhouse, which operated from 1915 to 1962. Here you can get information about the park as well as watch a video in the small theater. Then you can explore 3 floors of information and historic artifacts as this elegant former bathhouse has been turned into a museum. The museum has so much information and there are so many different rooms and hydrotherapy equipment to see and learn about. Like these head-out vapor cabinets. Would you sit in one of these with just your head sticking out? There's also a restored gymnasium, massage rooms, and the main men's bath hall, which has this really neat stained glass ceiling. We spent a couple hours just checking out the different rooms and learning a lot about these historic bathhouses. After checking out the visitor center and museum, we walked around to the back of the Fordyce and up the steps to the Grand Promenade. This wide brick path runs for about a half mile behind the bathhouses. There are a couple hot springs that you can view from the promenade as well. We strolled the Grand Promenade and then headed to Superior Bathhouse for lunch. This bathhouse closed in 1983, but it has been reopened as a brewery, and it is the only brewery found inside a national park. Their beer is also made with hot springs water, so it's gotta be healthy, right? I tried a flight of beer and settled on their Wolpertinger Dunkel. We shared a Bavarian pretzel with beer cheese and bacon horseradish to dip it in. We sat outside on the patio and enjoyed watching people stroll by on Bathhouse Row. For lunch, we ended up ordering a fire burger and fries. And the burger was spicy, but on point. After lunch, we ran into the Lamar Bathhouse, which serves as the Hot Springs National Park store. They had some really neat magnets and patches, as well as jars and jugs that you can purchase and fill up with hot springs water from the fountain outside. We bought a small jar and filled it up. The water was still hot coming out of these fountains. The hot springs water is free, and we saw people filling up several jugs to take home with them. We decided to take a drive up North Mountain. This mountain is home to a few hiking trails, as well as this old pagoda that offers stunning views of the landscape below. Across the road from the pagoda is also the Hot Springs Mountain Tower, which for a small fee you could ride an elevator to the top and visit a museum and check out the views from the observation deck. We opted out of the mountain tower and instead continued our scenic drive around North Mountain. We then drove up the West Mountain, all the way up to the summit. Between both mountain drives, we got to see some cool views of the city and the surrounding mountains. It was incredible. We had a wonderful time relaxing on Lake Greeson at Kirby Landing Campground, as well as visiting our second national park on this trip. It was interesting to learn about the health benefits of hot springs water and see the springs for ourselves, as well as marvel at the architecture of the bathhouses themselves. This little slice of Arkansas is beautiful and is definitely worth a visit. Hope you enjoyed.